This is Todd, and you're watching True Bread. Alright everyone, welcome to True Bread. My name's Todd. We're coming to you live here today from our headquarters here in Central Virginia. Thank you very much for following along with us here on Facebook and YouTube. We're live on Facebook right now. We'll be have the video up on YouTube here probably within the week. I've got one that I'm editing from last week, and then I'll put this one up as fast as I can. This is a weird time to be here. It's middle of the week. It's Wednesday, April 11th, 2018. Don't normally have a study on Wednesdays. I'll explain myself here momentarily. Normally we're here on the 7th day of the week, which is the day that we keep and observe for the fourth commandment. So, but this is an emergency study, okay? I had to do it. I think it's only my third one, right, Pops? Let's turn the lights on. We get the lights on back there. And I think that every time I've done an emergency Bible study, it's been on Donald Trump, basically, and what's going on around him and with him. So that's what's going to be going on today. The situation in Syria is just getting crazy, out of control. Now, if you're just watching, if you see this for the first time on YouTube, or you're just watching for the first time today, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm trying to make myself clear in this study, but I'll be on live TV next week from today at 7:30 p.m. It's my 12th year on live TV. All right, I did 5 straight years on radio until I sold the station. I've been talking about this exact topic since 2007 and prior to that. I've got a track record. Now, you can't turn on the TV or go online without people talking about Russia, China, Syria, Iran. We've been discussing it here for years, people. Did not have exactly all the pieces in place, but we've been discussing Eurasia for how long? As long as I've been doing this. That's right where it's all going down, people. So I'll discuss that here momentarily. Now, we just did finish the Passover season. We had Passover unleavened bread. In there was a wave sheaf offering, so we've already discussed all that. Now we're on our count. Right down, methodically down to the Feast of Weeks, which your Bible calls Pentecost, which I don't use that word. It means nothing. I don't like the Greek translation, sorry. But we're on our count. I believe we're in day 9 now. I just double checked that. I'm pretty sure I have my math right. So we're counting down to the 50 days after Passover, and then we have the Feast of Weeks perfectly. And it's 7 times 7 plus 1. That's how it works. And the Feast of Weeks is the last day of Passover. So we're on our way to that. We finished eating our unleavened bread. Now we're back to normal bread. Life is good again. But you suffer with it, but it's enjoyable. I enjoyed it. So also, and real fast, want to turn to. You haven't got to turn. I'll just read it real fast. This is a teaser for you guys. This is what's coming up. Okay, this is going to be profound. My mind starts working on things. Job 14, verse 14. I knew this verse is in the Bible, but I was having trouble finding it. But I finally got the right words to search on it. It says here, if a man dies, or a man or woman dies, shall they live again, right? Of course, that's everyone's question. If you're a believer in Scripture and Messiah and everything else we discuss here at True Bread, all the days of my hard service, I will wait till my change comes. What? Right? What do you mean change? What are you talking about? I'm not going to discuss it today. That's coming. So you just start thinking about that. That's Job 14, verse 14, right from Scripture. Profound. What do they mean? Right? Change. I'm going to get all into it. That's why you're alive on this earth and no one knows and no one talks about it. It's been hidden since Adam and Eve, basically. Definitely since the beginning of the believers in Act 2. You can't read what I'm going to tell you in Scripture. I don't think that people even knew. So, they may have known, but they didn't write about it. All right? Or if they did, very, very little. So, in a way that doesn't explain the whole story. So anyways, we're talking about Syria today. And I'm sitting here, right now it's 5 o'clock. It's about 1 a.m. in Syria. Now, we said that's when they launched the missiles, right? In the middle of the night. There could be cruise missiles flying right now into Syria. We do not know. Just like Trump did last year, a year ago, this month, last April. But now, that woman, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, is that her name? I don't know her name. That's her, right? The weird-looking woman? Yeah, she just came out and said, this is a lie. This just happened an hour ago. And I'm like, oh, man, here we go. And she goes, well, all of our options are still on the table. We're not going to admit a timeline. So that tells me that maybe, just maybe, someone, right, got to Trump saying, hey, man, you got to calm down. Right? You're going to cause nuclear war if you do anything at all. So that's right where the precipice we are on. And, what kicked this study off for me was today reading that Trump said, here they come, right? Look out, Russia, here they come. Here come these nice, new, shiny missiles. Look out, Russia, here they come. I mean, let's just say, okay, let's just start World War III. Get it on, right? So, and Putin's made it perfectly clear. He's not messing around. And Israel had that airstrike on that base. That's an act of war. If you shoot missiles into someone else's country, that's an act of war. And everyone knows it was 2 Israeli F-15s. Well, they shot down 5 of them, people, with ultra-sophisticated Syrian defenses, and they came right from Russia. You know that. And that's what Putin said. Well, if you launch, number one, he said, if you launch any missile at Syria, where our soldiers are, right, not only are we going to knock them out of the sky, we know where it came from, and we're going to liquidate whatever asset that launched that missile. We don't care if it's U.S. or Britain or France, which I'm going to get into momentarily. Those are words of war, people. Now, what have we talked about here, Dad, since I started True Bread in 2007, right? It's Armageddon, people. That's what we're talking about here today. And what I do differently at True Bread is I work backwards from Armageddon. It's so simple if you just go backwards from Armageddon. You're not going to get to Armageddon, today is Wednesday and Friday it's going to be Armageddon. No, it does not work that way. The Creator has a plan that we're getting ready to look at. Just calm down. Has a perfectly outlaid plan in this book, and it's happening exactly like it says. And I've been saying it for 13 years, in my 13th year. And I'll keep saying it every week, and I won't stop. And, I've said also here, like, why don't people just rip me off? I don't even care. So you go on to YouTube or InfoWars or Paul Craig Roberts or Drudge Report. What's it all about? Russia, Russia, Russia. Trump, Trump, Trump. Syria, Syria, Syria. You can't get away from it now. And it doesn't matter if I sit here trying to pat myself on the back. That's not what it's about. What it's about is you knowing what's happening based on what this book says. That's what's important. Why, Pops? Because why?
That's the truth.
Exactly. What we're about to do here right now, I'm getting ready to turn to the pages of Scripture. And you go, yeah, that sounds pretty good, right? What about the rest of what this book has to say? If you can trust prophecy, can you trust the doctrine and theology in this book? What is the answer? Of course you can. What I just read in Job, right? Job 14:14. If a man dies, will he live again? Where do you find that answer at? Yellow Pages? No. Not in the encyclopedia, not on Wikipedia. No, you don't find it there. It's not on Google or Facebook. It's right here is the answer to these questions in this book. That's the whole point of prophecy. To give you confidence and faith that, wow, you see, Daniel 11 was written 3,500 or 2,500 years ago, and it's happening today. And it should give you faith. And don't be like these madmen on the internet land. They'll say, this is what they say. They say this about Daniel and Revelation. They have to say this. They have to say it was written after the fact. The people have said that Daniel was written after Alexander the Great and all these events took place, so you look back to make it look like he was writing prophecy. No, people. Daniel was in Babylon when he wrote the book of Daniel, or he got the visions. A captive, 550 BC. And we're going to turn to it today. Now, I don't have the image here for you to see. I'll put it on the video for people to watch the video later. This graphic that I've diagrammed here and other places, showing the kings of the king of the north, the king of the south, and the kings of the east, perfectly, all coming together. Now you have to understand, we're Syria, right? It borders Israel. Damascus is not far from Megiddo. And what does the Messiah say about that, right? When you see Jerusalem, what? Surrounded by armies? Folks, let me make this perfectly clear, okay? Jerusalem is surrounded by armies right now. All the pieces are coming together perfectly. Now, let's just hope that Trump doesn't decide to launch cruise missiles. Last time it was 60. This time it could be 200 or 300. They've already picked out 70. I don't even know how they've given this information out. They've already said he's picked out 70 targets. That's like blowing up Iraq when we had the shock and awe, right? That's exactly what that is. So let's just talk about that real fast. If you're new here, I'm going to be going to Daniel 11 and Revelation 13, maybe Matthew 24, and I'm going to specifically identify for you the king of the north, the king of the south, and the kings of the east, right from your Bible. And they're exactly mentioned all the way through from Daniel, Revelation 13, and down to Revelation 16, right in sequence, perfectly. But the diagram I was explaining has, someone had drawn the Middle East, like Eurasia, like I talk about. And the diagram is not exactly correct. Everybody wants to force their opinion on prophecy of the king of the north. And same with this diagram. Everybody wants to say it's Gog and Magog. It's got nothing to do with Gog and Magog. That's Ezekiel 38, and that's right from Revelation 20, Revelation 20 where the fire came down. That's Gog and Magog right there at the end of time. After the millennium. People want to try to force Gog and Magog into the Armageddon equation. It's not the right timing. It does not fit. That's not what's happening. So the king of the north is not Russian. It's not Turkey. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And if you watch the tape later, you will see the image of what I'm talking about. And I'm going to have one made. I have a graphics designer who's going to clarify exactly what's going on. I was going to draw it up here, but it just takes too much time. So let's go to make sure we're straight here. I'm looking at my notes real fast. This whole thing we're doing today, this emergency Bible study on prophecy in Syria, is related to exactly 9/11. You cannot separate today from 9/11. 9/11 kicked the whole thing off. And I was just a dumb airline pilot sleeping in Missouri when I got the word. I had no clue, and neither did you, that 9/11 was going to happen, and that I'd be sitting here some 17 years later now, coming up. And here we are. So if you're going to sit there and talk about Syria and Russia and China and Iran and Israel and prophecy, you've got to talk about 9/11. There's no doubt about it. I can't turn to Daniel 11 and say this is 9/11. I can't do that. However, like I said, if you work backwards from Armageddon, you can definitely point to 9/11. 9/11 kicked this whole thing off. And way before that, it's been going on and on and on through World War I, World War II, all the way through Vietnam, all of it. Desert Storm 1, Desert Storm 2 cannot be separated. And for proof of that, I always bring up Wesley Clark, right? He just came right out and said it, what the plan was. He was told what the plan was 10 days after 9/11 in 2001. He said we're going to invade Iraq and Iran and Syria. I don't think it said Syria. It was Afghanistan, Pakistan, Egypt, Libya, Somalia, Yemen, on and on and on. Exactly like what we've been doing. That kicked all of this off. And that was like opening a can of worms, right? That was it. And that allowed us, like I say, mommy and daddy, to let their children go off and get turned into hamburger meat. And halfway around the world, who cares about Afghanistan, man? Who cares about Afghanistan? They're no threat to us. They just make heroin. That's the main reason we're over there. And all these places, you wonder, why are we there? What's going on? And like my sister asked me today, she goes, why are we even worried about Syria? All right. That's a perfectly good question. We're going to talk about that right now. Why we should be worried about Syria and what's going on. And also, this is what you have to do. like if you're watching and all of a sudden you're interested in prophecy, and you've never seen these videos, you have to get out your Bible, man. You've got to have faith. You've got to study. You've got to prove these things. You go in there and look for yourself and read it and say, yep, that's exactly what's going on, because it is. And I go to Dr. Paul Craig Roberts all the time. I mention here just about every week now. I'll be doing a video on that today or tomorrow. And, I got a Drudge Report and all these places you can go. Wesley Clark. You can go to these places and get an outside verification of what I'm saying. Now, Paul Craig Roberts, unbeknownst to him, came into my territory about 3 years ago and started talking about Russia and the United States and the conflict. Was sitting up and said, hey, Dr. Roberts, this is what, you're right in my territory, this is what's going on, even being on my radio program and talking about it. But his response was, we don't even need prophecy. I'm like, well, okay, whatever. So, but that's kind of the setup. What we're talking about, even like this chemical attack on those 2 spies, they were totally complete fake lies. Everyone knows it. They're even saying now, I think it's why Trump is backing off. Now, we don't know. Like I said, there could be missiles flying right now. But I think word's getting out because people went there the next day. Russian soldiers and scientists and doctors went to the location. I can't remember the name. Was it Dupal or something like that? Some kind of weird Syrian name. I don't speak the language. But they went to the town and said, we found no evidence of chemical weapons. We found no patients having the foaming of the mouth and resembling the characteristics of a chemical attack. Nowhere. What?
It's
Duma.
And
Yes.
a credible source that there was nobody.
Yeah, no, but it's just like all these stupid shootings, right? Like Sandy Hook. No bodies, no proof, no evidence, no foaming of the mouth, no dead body. It's just it goes on and on and on. It's these people called the White Helmets, right? We have no idea who these people are. And just like the Scripples who got so-called poison in Britain with that lunatic Theresa May and that witch Nikki Haley trying to start World War III over that. Over 2 people, really? Worth killing tens and hundreds of millions of people in a nuclear holocaust? That's what we are, people. That's what they're doing. And I was reading today, Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, I'd already had this thought, in my head, getting ready for this Bible study. I was like, why are they mad about chemical weapons killing 50 people? They'll wipe out 2,000 or 3,000 people in one attack. Is it okay to wipe out 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 innocent people with conventional weapons? And that's okay. But if you kill 50 with chemical agents, now we're going to have World War III? What's the logic? It's madness. Well, that's the whole point, isn't it? It's just pure madness. That's the whole key. That's the whole point of prophecy, to show mankind that you and this society is insane. That's what's happening. Ever since Adam and Eve flipped out, we're on this path of insanity to Armageddon, and that's as far as it's going to go, and it's going to be stopped. And now I'm like, wow. I really am going to live to see the Messiah come back, right? That's the way I'm really feeling now. Nothing's going to stop it except Him coming back to the earth, and that's Armageddon. So let's get started now. That was just a warm up here. If you don't have your Bible, just write the stuff down. You can watch it later. It's only Daniel 11 and Revelation 13. That's all I'm doing today, okay? That's all I want to do. So, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel. Now, if you see these critters sitting here, that's Daniel 11. Daniel 11 and Daniel 12 and Revelation 13. That's what we're talking about. That's why they're there. I just leave them there now to remind me, okay? Because I talk about prophecy now every week. I can't stop. It's in our face every day. I could do this every day. Just don't have the time. So it takes a lot of time to give the Bible study, edit it, put it up, and all that stuff along with it. But I try to stay up to date. So what I'm saying is you need to sit down when you have time and read Daniel. It's only 12 chapters. It'll take you maybe an hour and a half. Start with Daniel 2 and the dream with the statue. I've got videos. I've got hundreds. How many have we done? Hundreds? I've got over 600 videos on YouTube. I can't believe it. Let's say I've done 50 videos on prophecy, just to be, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Just to be safe. Err on the safe side. I've talked about Daniel 2 since 2007, okay? I think we did 20 in a row on these creatures right here. It's this year. It's on my YouTube page. You can go back and look. You got the statue of gold, silver, bronze, and iron. And I'm not going to discuss it right now. But we're going to go to, this is where we're starting today, okay? And the situation in Syria. Don't forget I'm talking about Trump and Syria. So it says here, Daniel 11, verse 40. This is Daniel's 11's in two sections, before 40 and after 40, okay? It says, at the time of the end, right? When is that? At the time of the end, the king of the south shall attack him. And that refers to the previous verses. That's the king of the north, the him. And the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots, horsemen, with many ships. He shall enter the countries, overwhelm them, and pass through. They are sending aircraft. They just left from Norfolk today, right? The whole entire aircraft battle group is going over to the Middle East. They've got the USS Donald Cook sitting out there in the Mediterranean. It's a Tomahawk cruise missile launching vessel. They've got submarines. England's sending subs. France is sending a carrier. No telling what else they're sending over there. And they're not that far from Syria, people. Europe is not far from Syria at all, especially with jet aircraft. It says, he, which is the king of the north, shall also enter the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown, but these shall escape from his hand. Edom, Moab, and the prominent people of Ammon, that is in Jordan, right beside Israel. Somehow they're going to get out of it, because the king of Jordan seems like he is a friend of Israel and a friend of the United States. And we know Saudi Arabia is going to be on our side now, which completely blows my mind. I never saw that coming. Except they did help us in Desert Storm 1 and Desert Storm 2, right? We had our bases there, right? So it says, he shall stretch out his hand against the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. Let's ask, did they escape? No, they did not. We got rid of, what was the guy's name? Hosni Mubarak. It was Libya and Egypt and Iraq and all these people, these players just killed, taken right out. Like in Ukraine, the coup d'etat. He shall have power over the treasures of gold and silver and over all the precious things of Egypt. Also the Libyans and the Ethiopians shall follow at his heels. Right in Daniel 11. The exact countries. What happened to Gaddafi? The king, we got him. The king of the north got rid of him. The United States and NATO. I'm getting there. Hold on. Letting the cat out of the bag a little bit there. So it says here, now listen, this is one more. We've already got the king of the south mentioned, right? The king of the north, and now we're coming down. It says, but news from the east and the north shall trouble him. Therefore he shall go out with great fury to destroy and annihilate many, the kings of the east. There are your three players right there. Right in 4 verses. The kings of the east are north and east of Jerusalem. Russia and China are north and east of Jerusalem, and they're called the kings from the east in Revelation. That's where we're getting ready to turn to next. So there's our 3 players right there, and the countries. Exactly. So what I'm waiting for, what I've said, since I started in 2007, I keep repeating myself over and over. I'm waiting for Daniel 11 verse 40 to happen. It has not happened yet. They're working on it. It's going to be a blitzkrieg attack, and it could be happening right now. We don't know yet. They could be launching cruise missiles right now, people. Now, the first time last year Trump did this, we don't know how many landed. Some say 59 landed, and 1 malfunctioned. And I read last couple of days they knocked out 34 cruise missiles with self-defense. That's astonishing. If you're knocking out 70% of someone's missile attack, you're doing a great job defending yourself. So we don't know what would happen. But Russia didn't do anything, is my point. That was last year. Things have changed now. They're not going to take it again. So what I'm trying to get you to see is the conflict coming down to Armageddon. And we're watching it unfold right now. Right on TV. And, you know, I can make these videos so I'm blue in the face and no one cares. It's just like, what do you have to do to people? Hey, man, look at TV, you know. Watch the news. Read Drudge. Look at Paul Craig Roberts. What do you think about that? So I don't do that. I can't force people to do that. I'm not, and I don't want to. You can watch and prove it for yourself. That's all I do here. So, and I'm not going to read Daniel 12. I should, but I'm not. But I'm going to read the last verse in verse 10. It says, many shall be purified, made white and refined, but the wicked shall do wickedly. Now listen. And none of the wicked shall understand, right? But the wise shall understand. That's the key. That unlocks everything. Now what is the definition of wisdom, Pops? Right? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. All those who love him do his commandments. That's the definition of wise and having wisdom, is a fear of the Lord. Ecclesiastes 12, verse 13 and 14, one of my favorite verses in Scripture. Fear the Lord and keep his commandments, for this is the whole purpose of mankind. Right there, there's your definition of wisdom. So people who don't care, or people who don't obey, or people who want to laugh at the holy days, or want to keep Christmas, Easter, Halloween, Valentine's Day, Mardi Gras, on and on and on, they are not wise. You're not going to understand. The Creator will not give you understanding. And what about 99.9% of the population of this planet right now today? Are they worried about Armageddon and the kings of the north and south and east and all these things? Nope. They go about their lives. That's about it. I don't think a lot of people want to be bothered with this, but this is the deal, right? I was thinking about doing a Bible study on this itself. I was at Dulles Airport 2 days ago waiting on a passenger, and they have those big signs, and it said, "You are here," right? To help you know where you are. Guess what? Right? You and I are here. We can't get out of this. That's why we have to worry about it and watch. Because that's exactly what the Messiah said, did he not? Watch and pray always that you are kind of worthy to escape all these things. That's what I'm doing here at True Bread. Trying to help you watch and see. Okay? So I've just identified, I'm going to identify them. I haven't yet. The king of the north, the king of the south, and the kings of the east. That's the conflict coming down that little teeny piece of land called Megiddo, right? Armageddon. And they're right there. So before all this started with Trump and Obama and everything, even back in the George Bush days, I would say, well, what's going to be the setup? How's it going to unfold? And then just piece by piece by piece, we're seeing it unfolding. And exactly, right? I had the basic outline of the forces. But perfect example, I've never talked about Turkey. I don't even know how they fit in. I think they're going to be wiped out, or they're going to be marginalized, because they're just trying to stick their nose into where it doesn't matter. Because what's the guy, Erdogan, wants to be a head honcho, a big player on the scene. But I'm not going to make any commitment on Turkey because I don't know. We'll have to see how that unfolds. So that's Daniel 11 verse 40. Okay, that's the basics right there. Now that's 550 years before the Messiah came on the scene, people. In Babylon, in captivity by the river Euphrates, is where Daniel got his visions. And the scripture says he was greatly beloved by the Creator. Because he prayed and loved the Lord with all his heart. So he was the one, a young Jewish boy. Or man, teenager, who knows how old he was. But he was given visions the whole time. Like the Apostle John, right? What?
They were sealed up.
Oh yeah, thank you, Pops. Okay. I have to read that, I guess. Well, we'll turn to that in a minute. Well, here we go. I'll read it in verse 9. And he's talking to an angel. I think this is in spirit, in like a dream or a vision. He says, "Go your way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till what, right? Till the end of time. The time of the end. What I'm trying to say, people, this is that time. And this message is being unsealed. I'm doing it right now. I've been doing it for 13 years. I don't get it. I mean, if that offends you, you got to say, why are you offended, man? I mean, I'm just doing my job here. We are unsealing the information. It's being delivered. And like the Messiah said in Matthew 24:14, right? It will go into all the world as a witness, and then the end will come. And, I don't like the label of two witnesses. I never want to have that label. However, what? I am witnessing today. I'm not calling myself a prophet. I'm just saying, hey, these are the facts, man. And no one else is doing it that I know of. But what's happening are people, it's like a funnel going around and around and around. Sooner or later, you get down to the narrow part. It is what it is. That's what Paul Craig Roberts is identifying. I mean, now, Paul Craig Roberts now uses the word Armageddon in almost every article. Where does he get that word from? Right? You'll see. So now, what I'm trying to do is give you a summary of where I'm going now, okay? This was really one of the things that started True Bread. The Passover New Moon problem, and what I'm about to say is why I'm sitting here. Because we went through group, done. And that was it. And I finally, just real fast about me, when I was in the airlines, and I had, nice blocks of days off, I could watch cable and see things I would never see when I was at work, and I kept seeing public access TV. I'm like, what is this? And I got interested in that and started talking to people. And I'm like, no chance. I'm never going on there. I'm not going to do that. No way. Well, was it 2 years later? There I was, 2007, on live TV, and I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do this job. That's what I'm trying to say. When I was in the airlines, I never envisioned I'd be sitting here doing this. I didn't want to do it, but it wouldn't stop. There's a problem. So now we're going to go to Revelation 13. You cannot, let me say this, let me get this on the tape. You cannot separate Daniel 11, Matthew 24, and Revelation 13. They all go together. If I have time, because I want to keep it to 1 hour, if I have time, we'll go to Matthew 24 in conclusion. Get the Messiah's own word. He spells it out. It's amazing, astonishing to me how I don't want to use the word clairvoyant because that's not a proper term, how precise, how prescient he was, exactly. Of course, he knew the plan. What's happening today with you and me and everyone listening is that we live in a time right now, 2018, in what the Messiah was describing 2,000 years ago. Do you understand what I'm saying? Here we are, people. So, I'm not doing justice to the Bible, okay? You have to understand. This is only going to be a 1 hour video, okay? I can't read the entire Bible. I can't explain this right now. I can't go to the statue of Daniel 2. I'd be here for 5 hours. Once I get going, I would. So I'm just going to limit it today to 30 more minutes. You can go back, just go to my YouTube page and just click on it. It's on my Facebook page or my website or YouTube. And all the videos, you can pull them all up right there. And I try to put everything in the titles and everything in the tags so you can find whatever you want. And if I talk about prophecy, I put prophecy, Keenan North, whatever, right in the title. So you can research that. And that's what people like, right? I did one video on Paul Craig Roberts, and I've got the most views in the shortest amount of time I've ever had a video get. And real fast about that, when Google bought YouTube in 2013, all my views went to 0. Well, everyone's did. So don't go look at my video and say, oh, it's got 12 views. I had one video that had 16,000 views, went down to 0. I mean, it was all an atonement. And my stuff was getting watched worldwide, but ever since Google got in there, because they have a way, I'm learning more now about YouTube, like Zuckerberg up there on Capitol Hill. They have ways to mess with your diagnostics and who gets to watch your video. Like that woman who shot up YouTube. They just changed her the formula, and a lot of people are no longer seeing her videos when she was getting. I'm not defending her; she's a whack job, but she was getting thousands and thousands of views and went down to 3 or 4 a day. So they could be blocking my videos. I don't know, but I don't care. I don't care about my view counts, but I do like to see what people are watching because I can focus on that. And one is prophecy. That's what people like the most of. So Revelation 13. This was, like I said, Passover and New Moon. I don't want to talk about that right now. And Revelation 13 is what led me to being here today, the True Bread. I kept asking, I'm sure I talked it over with you. And I sit down with Dankebrink, I remember, in his hotel room. I said, man, what you're saying about prophecy is not what's happening. Because we were forced down our throats, the Germans are going to take over the world. I'll get to that, stand by. But I said, hey, I don't think that what we believe is correct. I think that the 7 heads and 10 horns are here now. I just got laughed out of the room, literally. I just left shaking my head. It's like, you wouldn't even listen to me. Because these dictators and these groups, they don't want anyone even beginning to disagree with what they believe. They'll just throw you out, which happened to me several times, which I don't care. So this is what led me to understanding what's going on today in Syria. Literally, this is it. So we have here in Revelation 13, verse 1, then he says, after 1 through 12, then I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name. And I spent years wondering about what does this mean. And the way it started was, prayer, obviously, number 1. Please help me understand this verse and what's going on. And number 2 was I said, what? Because I said, I know we're in the end times. I get that. So I said, what on the earth looks like 7 heads and 10 horns? Well, guess what? I got the answer, just like that. I don't want to talk about the bookstore event. That'll mislead me too much. So I was like, wait a minute. I was getting, it's got to be here somewhere. What has 7 heads? Really thinking about it. Just typed it right into freaking Google, and bam! What has 7 heads, Dad? The G7, right? There it was. And I'm like, wait a minute. I thought it was a G20, right? That's what they call it, so the G20. And then 12 go away, and they got down to the G8, and they hear in the news, well, the G8 meeting in Brussels today, well, then they got tired of Putin and kicked him out. What's 8 minus 1? 7. The G7 are the head of the part of the beast of 7 heads. They rule the earth, people. That's where they meet. Everyone knows that. What has 10 horns? So I was like, this other part of the puzzle I didn't have. So like, what has 10 horns? So I'm looking online, and I'm like, 10 divisions, 10 blocks, 10 groups, whatever. And it popped up, Club of Rome. Right there, there's your answer. So the G7 are the 7 leading industrial nations on the planet who basically make all the rules for everybody. And then the 10 zones are the divisions of the Club of Rome has divided the planet into 10 zones. So these 7 heads will rule the 10 zones. Who rules the 7 heads? The little horn, the orange little Cheeto man pops up out of nowhere, and now he's the president of the United States, and he's going to rule the G7 and the Club of Rome because he is the Antichrist. And every day that goes by just proves it more and more to me. He's beginning to be, he's dividing everything. Sides are polarized, exactly like you would think of how a war would start. People are divided, nations are divided, things are polarizing apart from each other. And that's exactly the way I think the Antichrist would cause that effect to happen. And he is. And it's very dangerous when you divide the nation, is it not? Right? They're talking about civil war now, revolution, and just madness. And that's exactly what I think that the Antichrist would bring on the scene. However, this is how that's not what happened. I should tell what happened, right? People, I don't like Donald Trump, okay? I don't vote. I didn't vote for the guy. I had no earthly clue that I was going to say that Trump was the Antichrist. I wasn't thinking it, never. What I was thinking in my mind was, how did this guy ever get elected president? That was what was shocking me to no end. I never put 2 and 2 together. I did not. It was the next day after the inauguration. I was laying in my bed, just waking up, and it went whoosh, right through my head. Donald Trump is the Antichrist. I didn't hear the words. Just a thought went right. I'm like, where'd that come from, right? What are you talking about? Didn't make any sense to me. That's not the way I feel today, right? Everything the man does is just proof. I'm not supporting Obama. I'm not supporting Trump. I'm not supporting Putin. I'm not trying to attack Trump because of politics. No, I'm saying, what is the man doing? Why is his Jewish son-in-law best friends with Benjamin Netanyahu going over trying to make a peace agreement with the Palestinians? What is going on? All these pieces coming together out of nowhere. So that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. And now here we are, 5:35 p.m., wondering if Trump's going to shoot off cruise missiles into Syria and have the Donald C. Cook destroyed by a Russian, cruise missile, nuclear bomb, who knows? It's terrifying, is what I'm saying. So there's your 7 heads and 10 horns right there. So the king of the north, what I read in Daniel 11, verse 40, who is going to go into the glorious land and there's a blitzkrieg attack, which they could be doing right now. They've been doing it since 9/11, United States, NATO, European Union, and Israel. Right there. There it is. The king of the north rules the G7 and the Club of Rome. The king of the north, the Antichrist, rules the 7 heads and 10 horns that I just read. And that's exactly what we're seeing happening. Now, and I always wind up saying the same things over and over. At what point in time in history of society and world civilization are we going to see events just like this happen that aren't the events that are happening today? Like it's going to happen all over again, and then there's going to be the Antichrist, and that's going to be the king of the north. No, folks, this is it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to say Revelation 13 is happening today. You and I are living it. We're watching it unfold. That's just a time that we lived in. We were just born in this age, right? Like, as a pilot, I've always wondered, what if I was born in, 1900? I could have flown, DC-3s and the Clipper ships and, all these incredible machines I'll never have a chance to fly because now I live in the jet age. And I fly jets, or I did. That's just an analogy of what I'm saying. You and I live in the age of Revelation 13. That's just the way it is. So embrace it. Because why, right? What are we counting down to as believers, right? The return of the Messiah to the earth. That's what I'm talking about. Armageddon. To rescue us from these lunatics. From Nikki Haley, right? Really? I mean, I'm not being facetious. That witch is insane, man. And I love the way the Russian ambassador just bitch slaps her down so hard, man. I love it. He just tears her up. She's like saying, Russia's not our friends. And we'll slap them around when we need to. You got to talk that to a nuclear power, you dumb witch. Literally. I'm thinking about making a video just for her. That woman is evil. She scares me worse than Susan Rice did. And Susan Rice terrified me, man. I mean, that chick was calm, cool, and collected. She could just flip a switch and wipe out a nation. Because Obama would have done whatever she said. That's the way I felt. Nikki Haley's off the hook. So, that's the 7 heads and 10 horns. Now listen, in verse 2 it says, that's why you're sitting here. Now listen. Now the beast which I saw was like a leopard. Here's your leopard. His feet were like the feet of a bear. There's your bear. His mouth like the mouth of a lion. There's your lion. And the dragon gave him his power, throne, and great authority. And there is your dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns. It did. It fell. It broke. I'm repairing it. That is symbolic. The 7 heads and 10 horns are symbolic and composite of all of the beasts together at the end time. Exactly like Daniel saw in it was Daniel 9, or Daniel 7 talks about the 4 beasts. And he did not know what he was seeing, and neither did John. The Apostle John did not understand. So it says he wondered, he marveled. So it says, I saw one of its heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world marveled and followed the beast. Like I just said, even John. John was like wondering, what am I seeing? Because here is the Apostle John. I think he was like in his 90s on Patmos. You can go to Patmos today. It's there. That's the other thing about the Bible. I just can't understand people. I read Libya, Egypt, Ethiopia, Yemen, Jordan, right? All those countries I just read. They're here. And people want to say this book's not accurate. That's fine. That's their problem. Don't even worry about them. So you can go to Patmos, and John is seeing these visions being given to him supernaturally in his mind. Like the Creator just, I don't know, took him out of his body, took his spirit out or whatever. I don't know how the Creator does it. I've never had a vision that I know of. Now I have had dreams that I wondered about, but I've never encountered, no one has ever talked to me in a vision. If they do, I'll tell you, right? And if someone walks to that front door and stands right there, I'll let you know that too. Because I got to be honest with you, man, the longer I go on, I'm beginning to think we're going to have contact soon, sooner or later. Sooner than later is what I mean. Why not? I'm getting scared now. Why not? Didn't the apostles have angelic contact right after the Messiah was resurrected? Of course they did. All the way through. I don't want to talk about that anymore. Can't. I have to tell a story about a dog and I'll start crying. I don't want to do that. So, the deadly wound, this is my own speculation, people, okay? I feel like I'm correct on this. I could be wrong. But Hitler and the Nazis were wiped out in World War II. To me, that was a deadly wound that ended that part of what I'm getting ready to talk about, Rome. And then the healing of the wound, the deadly wound was healed, was Operation Paperclip. And they brought all the Nazis over, like Werner von Braun, and started NASA and infiltrating our system and forming the Fourth Reich, which is the resurrection of the Third Reich. That's what Reich means, resurrection of realm or power. I'm getting to that. Stand by. So it says they worshiped the dragon who gave authority to the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him? What's the answer? No one. We can wipe out the entire planet 200 times over. But the problem is now other nations have nuclear warheads. That's the final conflict. I'm trying to get you to explain right now. So it tells how long he was going to continue this process. I'm not going to go into the false prophet. That's obviously the Roman Catholic Church and the Pope. I mean, I'm not going to waste my time talking about that. I mean, this man Francis is a madman. I mean, you could not ever in my lifetime find another human being who would make me think he was the false prophet more than Pope Francis. Did that come out correctly, what I said? Literally, I mean that. And Trump with the Antichrist. You're not going... I mean, Trump is such an immoral womanizer. And that's the exact characteristic of the Antichrist. He's going to be immoral. He's going to be a narcissist, going to be immoral. He's not going to care about anything but himself. He's going to want power and prestige and money and wealth and women and everything he has to get his hands on. That's why I was wondering, why is Trump the president, man? It doesn't make any sense to me. Why would he ever want to be president? Maybe he's selected for the job. How's that? Right? Because he's going to have an abrupt, bad ending. Which part?
He could not be here except it was...
Yeah, of course. Yeah, exactly right. I mean, this is exactly right, Pops. That the Messiah, right before Pilate killed him, said, "You would have no authority over me unless it was granted to you from above." So that's what I'm saying about Trump. He would have nothing unless it was granted to him from above. That's his assignment in life, and that's just the way that it is. Like Judas Iscariot, right? And Pontius Pilate. I mean, those are real human beings. They're going to be resurrected back to life and going to realize, wow, man, I'm in the Bible. Okay, that's not good. And that you don't want to be in the Bible that way. So it says here, he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. Now does Trump does he tweet great things and blasphemies? Just unbelievable today, man. You know, you shouldn't back an animal attack killer like Assad, Putin. You better be ready. Here come our nice new shiny missiles, right? That's unbelievable. To even speak to a world leader that way in a world nuclear power. That's speaking great things and blasphemies, if you ask me. And, you know, the blasphemy part, and it says, then he opened his mouth and blasphemed against the Creator. That's speaking directly against the Creator, like all of Trump's little, what do you call them, cronies, these evangelical lunatics who surround Trump, and no matter, I mean, like Trump said, he could go out on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and his supporters would still vote for him. It's like these evangelicals, no matter what he does, they still support him. That's blasphemy to me. That's what I'm saying. That's a form of blaspheming the Creator. When no matter what the Antichrist does, these lying evangelicals like John Hagee still support Trump no matter what he did. It's just pure blasphemy to me. They haven't got the backbone to stand up and say, hey, wait a minute. What are you doing, man? Right? Why are you so cruel and heartless? What are you going to blow up Syria for? And, you know, what do you want to cause what I think is a false flag attack, a lie about the chemical attack? If they did use chemical weapons, ISIS troops use, and they know that. People have so much to say, I can't get in the next 10 minutes. You can watch it on YouTube. They have videos from 3 weeks ago. The guy saying, look, we got you red-handed. They caught him with the chlorine gas. And they said over and over and over, hey, there's going to be an attack, there's going to be an attack. And lo and behold, Trump says, well, I think we should pull all of our troops out of Syria, right? What was it, 48 hours later, I think it was? Boom, there's your chlorine gas attack or whatever. Now, what I think is that they did set off some kind of chemical device, but it wasn't Syria or Russia. It was the ISIS fighters that caused the false flag attack in the first place. Problem, reaction, solution. If you can't get what you want, you know, it's obvious. I'm getting there. I'm not done yet. It's obvious what the USA and Israel and NATO wants. Okay, like my sister asked me today, why are we even there? Why are we even worried about it? We all know what it's all about. So, what was I saying? What they want? Oh, no, I was saying, if you want something but you can't get it because the circumstances don't allow, you just make the circumstances you need to get what you want, just like 9/11. It's called a false flag attack. If you want to invade Afghanistan, but the world community is not going to let you invade Afghanistan, well, just blow up New York City then. Oh, do whatever you want. Yes, invade Afghanistan, and while you're at it, invade Iraq, and Pakistan, and Afghanistan, and Libya, and Egypt, and what are they else? Somalia, Yemen, all the way up and down through the East Coast, Middle East, all through Eurasia, down through Ukraine. I mean, all it got started with that lunatic in Georgia, that president kept chewing his ties. Remember that guy? Lynchenko, whatever his name was? and they tried to, they invaded South Ossetia, and then Putin just went BAM! Knocked them right out. I mean, that very day, and that stopped that. That was going to be your first type of Ukraine that they tried, and Putin's like, no chance. He could have just rolled all the way through Georgia, took over the whole nation, but he didn't do it. Don't ask me why. So that's the blasphemy against the Creator, to blaspheme His name, His tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven. It was granted to him, the Antichrist, to make war with the saints and overcome them, and authority was given him over every tribe, tongue, and nation. And how does that happen, right? Digital currency. That's it. And your biometric data and your stamp on the back of your right hand, 666 on your hand and your forehead. They're making it so you're not going to be able to do anything like these Bitcoins and these blockchains where they have the digital currency. They're going to have it so you can't make any purchase without a blockchain. And that's going to be encrypted, and they will know exactly what you're doing. And they'll just go click and turn off your everything, your credit, everything. You know, your social media, they'll wipe you clean, or they'll know everything about you, which Zuckerberg testifying today, right? Last 2 days. I've read things about Google and YouTube. Google and Facebook are terrifying. I mean, just the story of the man and woman talking about cat food, and they didn't have any cats, and then they're doing an experiment, and cat food ads are popping up on his wife's cell phone. That's just terrifying. And people are telling me, I told that story to a friend, he goes, yeah, I knew that 5 years ago. And he turns off his phone and he covers up his camera with a piece of tape. And it's just, you know, that's what they're doing with these smartphones. And you downloaded some stuff, didn't you? And they'll give it to you. They don't care. They have everything known about. That's why I said years ago, I don't care. Why do I care? I know they know everything about me anyways. Why worry about it? I mean, they're going to come and take me away, or they're not. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. So it says, and those who dwell on the earth will worship him, the Antichrist, whose names have not been written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. And where do we read this at, Pops? For Passover, people. He's the Passover Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. That's where you want your name written in that book of life. Not like Pontius Pilate or, Judas Iscariot. You don't want that part. You want the good part where your name is written in the Lamb's book of life. Because what does it mean? Like I said this past Bible study, it means the handwriting of ordinances against you has been blotted out. The death penalty has been taken away because you believe in the Lamb and His blood, and then you have your name written in the book of life. And what happens then, Pops? Well, disregard. I don't want to talk about that right now. Oh, that'll be too much. Okay, so then you can go on and read about the mark of the beast, the false prophet. We're not here for that right now. Now we're going to go to Revelation 16, and then I'm going to try, don't let me forget to explain Rome, okay? I have to go in the statute for that. So, Revelation 16, I'm just going to read very briefly here in verse 12. These are the bowl plagues. It says, then the sixth angel poured out his bowl in the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up, so that the way of the kings from the east might be prepared. Who are the kings of the east? Russia and China and Iran and Brazil and India and South Africa. Right in the BRICS. And whoever else is going to join that block as everything is being polarized apart. And it says, let's go down here. It says, for they are spiritual demons performing signs which go out to the kings of the earth and of the whole world. Now listen, this is what I'm saying about today, people. That's why I'm saying you and I are watching it happen. This is what's happening. This exact setup is what's taking place. It's not going to happen in one day, in one 24-hour period. It's going to take years to set up. But this is the setup. It says here that its waters are dried up. I just read that. Where am I at? For they are signs of spiritual demons performing signs which go out to the kings of the earth. Like I just said, they're all being gathered now. And of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. And it says, and they gather them together to a place called in Hebrew, Armageddon. There you go. That's the setup. That's what we're watching. That's what I'm trying to say to you. And the verse I left out is this, verse 15 says, behold, I am coming as a thief. Blessed is he or she who watches. That's what I said earlier. You've got to watch these events. Now, how are you going to understand what's going on unless someone comes along and explains them to you? and take this test. Take this bet. Go find someone else who's doing it. Am I going to win or lose? That's right, I'm going to win that bet every time. No one's doing what I'm doing. And as shocking as that is to say, like I'm bragging, I'm not. I can't believe people aren't ripping me off. I cannot believe it. I mean, the closest anyone has come is Paul Craig Roberts. He's not trying to steal my information. He was a Wall Street editor. He worked for Reagan. The man's a doctor. He's super intelligent. That's why he's seeing what's going on. But he's seeing it and he's getting perplexed. Why? He doesn't understand this Bible. He doesn't get it. He's not approaching it from a point of view of, man, this is really exciting if you're a believer that the Messiah is coming back, right? No, he's terrified. Paul Craig Roberts is terrified of nuclear war. He writes in every article. He says these madmen in D.C. that are going to try to take over the world, they're going to blow the world up with nuclear weapons. Every article. Because that's where he is now in his mind. And so he's not he's not in my territory really. He's not my competition is what I'm trying to say. And then if you find someone who's talking about prophecy and is getting close to the three kings, what do they do about Passover, New Moon, and holidays? Don't even get anywhere near it. They don't even come close. So they're completely wrong on prophecy, and they have no idea about doctrine. How's that? I know that sounds bizarre to say. That's just the facts of life, people. You know, if you're watching for the first time, maybe there's a reason you're watching. I do not know who watched these videos. I've always said, since I started, it's the creator's responsibility, not mine. I do have people watching. I got people contacting me I didn't know. So, that is Armageddon. That is in Megiddo. That is right above Jerusalem. It's not. I don't think it's even 100 miles away. Megiddo is as flat as this tabletop. Okay, and it's called Ar Har-Megeddon. Har means tell, like Tel Aviv. A tell is a mound of dirt. What? Is that right? A tell, T-E-L, is a mound of dirt. They build a city. It gets invaded and burned down. They build a city. It gets invaded and burned down. They build another city over and over and over until you get this pile. Like in Megiddo, it's there. You can see it. Well, this tell looks over this vast, huge, massive, flat area. Now, why does it have to be flat, Pops? That's where the armies are going to be gathered together because they can get in there. They're not gonna duke it out in the Mediterranean. It's not going to be down in Hawaii or Fiji. They're all coming down, gathered exactly like Scripture says. That's what I'm saying today. Exactly like the Bible just said. They're being gathered into the battlefield. That's what Megiddo is over centuries. Megiddo is in the crossroads of Europe, Asia, and Africa. Megiddo is right in the middle. It's the crossroads, and that's where a lot of battles were fought. So they're going to gather together there. The Euphrates is going to dry up. Here's going to come the Chinese army, 200 million men or whatever, with Russia coming down, and they have to have the soldiers to have the battle. That's what's going to have to happen. And it's prophecy. I'm going to try to get there momentarily. So that's enough of Armageddon. Okay, I want to. This is a summary today. I'm not going into detail. So now I want to explain Rome. I'm going to have to go to Daniel 2. I didn't think I was going to do this, but I'm going to have to. And I can never find Daniel. Daniel chapter 2. Let me just summarize. I want to read it. Nebuchadnezzar, this king who destroyed Jerusalem in 586 BC, took the Jews to Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar, go look him up in your history books. He's real. He was a real human being. He really lived in Babylon, in Iraq. Took the Jews back, had a dream. Got his wise men and said, I had a dream and I need to know the interpretation. And the wise men said, gladly, king. Tell us your dream. He goes, no, I'm not going to tell you my dream. And if you don't give me the interpretation, I'm going to kill you and your entire families. And he was going to. So one of the people went back and Daniel got wind. And said, hey, I can do it. And so the guy went to Nebuchadnezzar and said, hey, there's this young Jewish lad who can interpret your dream. So Daniel goes to Nebuchadnezzar, and Nebuchadnezzar didn't know what he dreamed. He didn't understand it, or didn't even know it. So then Daniel says, I will tell you what you dreamt, king, because the Creator revealed it to me. You saw a giant statue. that was standing there until a stone came from outer space, struck the statue, and it collapsed and dissolved. You saw a head of gold, shoulders of silver, a belly of bronze, and thighs and legs of iron. He saw 4 divisions. He saw gold, silver, bronze, and iron. Nebuchadnezzar, Cyrus the Great, Alexander, and then Rome came on the scene. Where I'm not worried about the first 3, okay? Fair enough? They're gone. We don't have to worry about them. They've come and gone. Babylonian, Greco-Macedonians, Persians, and Rome. No, I didn't say that right. It was Babylon, the Persians. Stop. Babylon, Persia, Greco, that's it. Babylon, Persia, Greco-Macedonian, Alexander the Great, and then came Rome on the scene. These were the only four world-ruling empires. Whatever happened before Nebuchadnezzar, we're not concerned with. It's gone. Egypt and Assyria, we don't have to discuss that. But we do have to understand Nebuchadnezzar, Cyrus, Alexander the Great, and Rome. You can read this in history. Now, Rome is the interesting part. The legs and feet of iron. That's all we're worried about, people. The legs and feet were divided into 4 sections. 3, 4. Rome is the only empire that ruled the known world. These 3 tried. Alexander the Great came the closest, but Rome finally did it. They ruled the entire known world all the way up to England. And the Mediterranean is what I'm talking about, because if you go 100 miles out from the sea, there's nothing there. No one lives there, basically. So the entire coast of the Mediterranean was the known world. That's where Rome ruled. The first and only one to ever do it. Who's the first iteration of Rome, Pops? Caesar's. There's no doubt about it. Augustus Caesar was the very first Roman Empire, ruler of the Roman Empire. Before that, it was called a Roman Republic. It was not an empire. The empire came at the time of the Messiah. That's when the Messiah was born. Caesar Augustus ruled when the Messiah was born. He was the first. And they had other Caesars, but they were still Caesars. So that was iteration 1 of Rome. And then Rome collapsed. It was gone. The first iteration of Rome was overrun by the Mongols and wiped out. And then, this is my opinion, the next person who tried, the second iteration of Rome, who tried to make the Roman Empire take over, I'm not talking about a cultural empire, okay? I'm not talking about it's so sentimental that we have the Holy Roman Empire and the Ottoman Empire and the, who ruled the German dynasties? Like Hindenburg and these guys, whoever. I'm not talking about the Holy Roman Empire, people. That's like a cultural thing. I'm talking about a military empire that rolls. And the next one that came on the scene was Napoleon Bonaparte. He tried to take over militarily the entire area that Rome had. But he failed at Waterloo, right? So that's 2. Who is number 3? People, you don't even have had to go to grade school for this answer. My dog knows this. What did Hitler call his Reich? He called it the Third Reich. The Reich, R-E-I-C-H, means rule, empire, or resurrection, or realm. That was a third realm, and Hitler knew it. And what did Hitler try to do? Which he almost did. Try to take over the whole entire world. Well, basically, when he started, he just wanted Germany to be reunified, and then that's how World War II started. The Jews in Britain and America had no way. We're not doing that. Because they were supporting Hitler. The bankers in America and Britain gave Hitler money. They supported him. They liked him. Yeah, here we go. I'm going down the rabbit hole now. What's that? Sachs Goth? Do you know? I always forget this, people. The Queen. Her last name is not Windsor. Do you understand? It's Saxe Gotha something. I'll put it down here on the screen. I should know it. They're German. The royal family loved Hitler. I think they had Goebbels or someone at one of their weddings. They're related. They're Germans. What I'm trying to tell you is that the monarchy in Britain are Germans. How's that? That's what I'm trying to say. So Hitler was the Third Reich. But they turned on him. That was the problem. And that's what they wanted. When I say they, I mean the beast power, the New World Order. And they got it. So, like I just said, Hitler and Nazis were stopped, and then he came on the scene, right? It's the Fourth Reich, people. The United States of America is the Fourth Reich, the fourth resurrection of the Roman Empire. And what does the Fourth Reich do, Pops? It destroys and devours and stamps and bombs and obliterates everything in its sight. And what are they doing now? Bombing and obliterating everything in their sight they get their hands on. And what do they want, right? They want the oil. That's exactly what they're after. That's what I had to tell my sister today. Zbigniew Brzezinski said it best. If you want to rule the world, you've got to rule Eurasia. What's like right in the center of Eurasia, right? Syria. Syria is the golden medal, the linchpin of all of this, because that's where what is going to flow through. All the pipelines. People, the Creator has engineered this and set this up. He has put the oil in the Middle East to cause this scenario to arise where these world powers have to go into conflict with each other to get the oil. And that's exactly what they're going to do. And everybody knows it. I mean, I know that Putin knows exactly what's going on. I don't think Trump knows exactly what's going on. Because this guy, that's another point I wanted to make about the Antichrist. What did he do? He campaigned on what, right? No wars, nationalism, let's build a wall, let's make America great again. People, he's completely abandoned that. I mean, I read on these comment sections how people are just, the Trump supporters are just turning on him in droves. They cannot believe what they're seeing. And they say, if Trump bombs Syria one more time, I'll never vote for him again, right? You're never going to have the opportunity, my friends. You ain't got to worry about it. I'm not trying to make a prophecy, that's just how I feel. So he turned, he's surrounding himself, and the key is John Bolton. That's it, done. He gave it away. John Bolton's an absolute evil neocon from hell. He back when he was working for Bush, he wanted to bomb Iran and North Korea, and he wanted to go into Iraq, and all these things he did and said. That's exactly what Trump is getting in Bolton. And yesterday, or Monday, was his first day on the job, right? Right after the so-called chemical attack. Sure, Bolton, sure. So you have all these maniacal lunatics trying to blow the world up. They're all coming down to Armageddon. They're all coming down into the Middle East. Now, what we need to understand, what you need to understand about the king of the south, they're going to be wiped out. That's why I said in the Blitzkrieg, right? Just like the shock and awe of Iraq. It's going to happen all over again. It could be happening right now. I don't even know. I'm afraid to even go look at the news. Because, when Trump says, Russia, here they come, our nice new shiny missiles, I think he means it. But maybe someone got to him, right, and said, hey, turn it down a little bit. We don't know. He has the authority. He has the authority to do that. He can pick up the phone and make the phone call, and they'll do it. So basically what's happening with the king of the north, the 7 heads and 10 horns, they want the world. That's what's happening. They want all. They want all. They want all of the oil. They want all of the resources. They want it for themselves. Not even you and me. They want you and me dead. We're the useless eaters to the New World Order, to the beast power. That's called eugenics. I'm not going down that path right now. Agenda 21, all that. They want world hegemony, world dictatorship. And the Wolfowitz Doctrine, right, says that there will be no other power on the earth, anywhere, that can withstand our hegemony. And hegemony means rule or dictatorship, right? Yeah, exactly. Like I could just keep doing this all night long. Go look at the Georgia Guidestone. Go look it up. You haven't got to go down there. Just look up Georgia Guidestones. Have you never heard of it? Knock yourself out. That could be your homework assignment for tonight. So, and just one other point, then I'll conclude here, is that we are 1 month away from what? Right? It's just unbelievable. The nation of Israel, so-called Israel, which is an absolute lie. This is Israel, people. Don't get me started. I'm not going to talk about that right now. They're going to have their 70th anniversary of the founding of Israel. And Trump's going to be there. And they're going to, inaugurate the embassy. They're going to open up the brand new U.S. embassy in Jerusalem. Now, how provocative is that? Like my sister said, I don't know. I haven't seen the blueprints for the embassy. Have you? I don't know what it looks like. What could they sneak inside of the embassy that we don't know about, right? Maybe the third temple, the last temple before the Messiah comes back, right in Jerusalem. And there's Trump. And where's his little buddy Pope Francis going to be, right? He's hovering around somewhere, people, trust me. The false prophet and the Antichrist are both going to go down to Jerusalem for 7 years. The final 7 years of the peace agreement that's going to be finally signed. And everyone's going to say, peace, peace, right? And then what's going to happen 3.5 years later? All hell's going to break loose. That's going to be it. That's going to be when Revelation 13 kicks in. The last 3.5 years, the Antichrist is going to flip out and start the Great Tribulation. And we'll conclude here in Matthew 24, because I have to. That's going to kick off for 3.5 years, like the Messiah said. Well, I'll just read it. It says, Matthew 24, verse 14, "And this doctrine of the kingdom will be proclaimed into all the world as a witness to all nations, and then the end will come." And it says, "Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, Antiochus Epiphanes slaughtered a pig in the temple in Jerusalem in 165 BC and desecrated the temple." He did not destroy it. It was there. That's going to happen again. This man, Donald Trump, the Antichrist, is going to do something inside that temple, maybe even proclaim himself to be God. I do not know. Something like that's going to happen. And the Messiah says, when you see that, right? He said, let whoever reads this understand. Let them who are in Judea flee to the mountains. If you're on the housetop, do not go down to take anything out of the house. And let him who is in the field not go back to get his clothes. This is exactly what happened in 70 AD. They were told to run when they saw the Roman armies surround Jerusalem. And the believers did. They got out. They knew it when they saw it. But that's not the end time. That just happened in 70 AD because they killed the Messiah in Jerusalem. It says, "And pray that your flight may not be in winter or on the Sabbath, for then, the last 3.5 years, there will be a great tribulation, such as not been since the beginning of the world until this time, nor ever shall be." This is it. This is the final shebang for Satan, the demons, and mankind to go mad, insane, out of their minds with violence and chemical warfare and diseases, biological agents, and nuclear warfare going on at the end. That would. Now listen to me. That's why I'm reading this. "And unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened." Now what does this mean? The Messiah just said, if those days were not shortened, in other words, if those days were not stopped, nothing would be left. Not anything living. No amoeba, no cockroach, no bacteria, nothing. All humans wiped out. Unless what? I just read it. Unless the Messiah comes back to this planet, to the Mount of Olives, exactly like it says in Acts chapter 1. And he is. Because if he didn't come back, people, I'm going to have to stop now, but what was I going to say? If he didn't come back, like I was just saying, they would, the king of the north, NATO, and Israel, who was behind everything, by the way, don't let me forget that. And then you have Russia and China on one side in Armageddon, in Megiddo, and they're sitting there. And they've been fighting, off and on, sporadically for who knows how long. You know that one soldier is going to shoot another soldier. And they're going to go, oh yeah, and they're going to shoot back. And they're going to go, oh yeah, and they'll launch off a bazooka or whatever, or a mortar. And they'll launch off a mortar, and they'll go, oh yeah, and then they'll shoot a cruise missile back and forth till what? That's going to be the result of mankind on this planet, just going absolutely berserk. And the Messiah is going to come back and stop it. There's not going to be a battle between the Messiah and Satan. That's never going to happen. He defeated Satan when he was murdered. You understand what I'm telling you? He's coming back to stop mankind and take over the earth forever. And that's the part where you and I should be excited when we see all these things. Because he says what? He says, your redemption draws near. And that's exactly right. So thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Keep the faith.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace.